Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my review on the newest big horror film, the big phenomenon going on right now in the horror realm, Talk to Me. Now this, of course, came out this year. Currently gets a 7.5 on IMDb, directed by Danny Filippo and Michael Filippo. I think these guys are pretty famous YouTubers, and I'm pretty sure this is their first feature-length film. I think they'd done some shorts before this, and this, of course, is the newest A24 horror film, which is also a big thing. I know A24 has had a lot of success in the horror genre. They make a lot of good ones, honestly. I'm a big fan of The Witch. That's my favorite A24 film of all time. I'm a big fan of The Lighthouse. I like Midsommar. I'm a big fan of Hereditary. I guess you could consider Beau is Afraid as a little bit of a horror film. Not totally, though, but a little bit. It Comes at Night. I've seen that one. I thought that one was decent. I think overall they make good horror films. I don't understand why there is a lot of hate on their horror films. At the same time, I don't think they're all masterpieces. I think that there's got to be a balance to the A24 guys. We can't say they're all masterpieces, but at the same time, they do make some pretty good horror films, I must say. And Talk to Me is not only one of my favorite A24 films, it is my favorite horror film of the year so far. I'm going to throw it right out there. Starting this review off with a bang. And here it is. This is the best horror film of the year so far. And this has been a year of just dud after dud after dud. Unfortunately, I think that last year being as great as it was, 2021 being another fantastic year for horror films. I mean, last year you had Smile. I'm going to check real quick to see, I want to say Barbarian came out last year, but I'm pretty sure Barbarian came out this year. But I'm going to look at the 2022 horror films. And I want to say I've seen The Night House last year, but maybe not. But 2022 horror films, I mean, we had Men, Pearl. I guess, yeah, Barbarian technically did come out in 2022. Skinamarink technically came out in 2022 as well. Smile, VHS 99. I mean, there's a lot of good horror films in there. This year, you got Knock at the Cabin. I think, honestly, looking back on that movie, I think it's okay, but very disappointing. I was not a fan of Infinity Pool. That being the first horror film of the year that I seen in the theater was not a good sign. I was absolutely not a fan of that movie. I thought that, man, I know I've seen more horror films in the theater, but I know that those are the big ones. Knock at the Cabin, Infinity Pool. A little bit before that, in October, I think of the year before, I had seen Scream 6 and thought that was a big disappointment. Or maybe it did come out in 2023. I can't remember. I think it did come out in 2023. But that sucked. So the fact that we finally, and I was just patiently waiting because I was like, okay, we are at the halfway point of the year. There's got to be something coming up here. There's got to be something. And finally we got it with Talk to Me. And Talk to Me is a very simple story. You've got a group of friends. They kind of have this secret challenge they do that's going a bit viral, but they're keeping it kind of close-knit. They're just doing their own challenge. And this challenge is there's this hand. You think it's a mannequin hand, but it's actually a mummified hand. And it has these, inscriptions written all over it. And the challenge is to get tied down and to touch the hand and say, "Talk to me." And when you say that, it invites spirits in. You can see them. They're all rotten, decayed looking. And it also invites demons in. And so that's basically a trend of possession. People are letting themselves become possessed, and everybody's filming it and posting it on Snapchat and Instagram and everything. And it's becoming viral. And essentially what happens is one of these sessions goes horribly wrong, and they have to deal with this force they've unleashed and save people, and the story goes absolutely crazy, and you have some insane and intense sequences in this film. But yeah, Talk to Me. I think every aspect of this movie was nailed. I think that's why it's the best horror film of the year. I think it's one of the better A24 horror films. I think the direction by these two directors, if they're just YouTubers and they just stepped onto this movie and just started directing, that's insane because they did a pretty good job. The movie has a look to it, a mood, an atmosphere. I think that the cast all have chemistry. And it says here they've made shorts, TV movies. Like I said, I just heard these guys are YouTubers. And apparently they were involved with the Babadook a little bit, camera and electrical department. So they were somehow, some way involved in the Babadook. But with the fact that this is their first feature film, this is very impressive. Now this is a director duo I can get behind. Because they can keep this up, they know the horror genre, they know how to build suspense. They give you some gore, some blood, some brutality, some funny moments, some levity. And I feel like Radio Silence doesn't really do that. And I'm not a fan of Radio Silence. Not anything personal. It's just their style as far as Scream goes. Now, I know they made other movies. I think I even liked one of the other movies they've made. But as far as Scream goes, I'm not a fan of that duo of directors, Radio Silence. But with this duo of directors, they did it very, very well. They're able to balance the humor with the scares, have intensity, build suspense. I really enjoy the way this movie's shot, the way it looks. The cinematography, of course, is on point. It's A24. It's going to be on point. The music is very subtle. I feel like it could have had more music in it, but for the music that was there, it was okay. I guess you could say it's one of the more weaker parts. There wasn't really a lot of music or music cues or soundtrack that I can remember. But I love this story. In a time where we have all these possession movies, to finally create an original concept and to make it interesting and cool and different. And I like how it's this commentary on social media. And I kind of whistled there by saying that, social media. But the fact that they're able to utilize that aspect and have it to where these kids are just watching people possessed and they're laughing at them and just posting it on Snapchat and using this horrific stuff that they're seeing just to get some views. And in a way, end up exploiting their friends in some aspects, because there's times where they'll be possessed and they'll be saying crazy things and acting all creepy, and they don't even have control over what's going on. So in a way, they're kind of exploiting their friends. And I think it also does a great job at having a friend group that is not unlikable, that is not unrealistic, that you can see these people all being friends. The chemistry is there. Because a lot of time with these newer films, they just don't know how to get that chemistry right. They don't know how to do friend groups. They think everybody's just an asshole to each other. When in this movie, it's not really like that. They pick at each other. They obviously have moments where they're roasting each other. I know the lead chick, she is an ex to her friend's boyfriend. And so she's always teasing her, like, I'm going to get him back. And she's like, no, you're not. But the lead chick, too, I thought she did an amazing job in this film. I really did think that. I think it's Mia, the character Mia. I think she did a great job. Sophie Wilde, great job as the lead character, Mia. Really, really enjoyed her performance in this film. Enjoyed the rest of the cast. I think everybody in this film does wonderful jobs as well. And I've seen them pop up in other films here and there, so yeah, you got a great cast, good characters, good script, very original idea. The movie is an hour and 35 minutes. So it shows that, you know, we could still make hour and 35-minute horror film. Not everything has to be 3, 4, 2 hours. I know I say that a lot. I sound like a broken record probably, but that is a big pet peeve of mine with newer films in general. Everything has to be 3 hours. So this one has good pacing. It's got good character moments, good character building. I think it has a lot of good directing techniques. It's got the scares. It's got the really creepy moments. A lot of the possession scenes are really intense, as they should be. They're not laughable. They're not goofy. They're not silly. They're not parody. They're truly disturbing, creepy, scary. And to make Possession scary again, I must commend the filmmakers for that, because it's, been so long since we've gotten horror, not horror, but possession horror that's actually scary. And credit to the writers as well. Now, the guys that directed this movie, it doesn't seem like they wrote the movie. There is a whole slew of writers, but there's two main ones. And that's Danny Filippo, and so that's one of the directors. But Bill Heinzman also co-wrote this movie. So one of the directors did write this film. But, yeah, I think it just nails everything. And it's really cool that we finally got, like I said, we finally got a horror film that is not another IP, that is not a reboot or a remake or a sequel. It's not PG-13, jump scare galore, CGI mess. It's an actual well-made, well-thought-out, well-written, acted, directed. Like I said, the only thing I would say is maybe a problem is that there's not really any music in it, or if there is music, it's very forgettable. So, could have used some more music. You take the score from Smile, which I love that movie as well. You take the music from Smile and you put it in this movie. I feel like that would insanely fit this film. It's a very similar movie, so to have that score or the score from It Follows, imagine having a score like that in this movie, I think it would have fit. But yeah, I mean, it's got a cool concept, very well made. It's a newer horror film that delivers. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, go watch it. If you have seen it, comment below. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the film. But yeah, that's going to be it for my review of Talk to Me. It was a great time in the theater. Kind of reminded me of when I went and seen Evil Dead the remake in the theater. Just the reactions and how people were freaking out and throwing popcorn everywhere. This was a very, very fun theater experience. It's what a horror film should be. It's not trying to be pretentious, 3 hours. Which, again, like I said, I love movies that are pretentious. But we get a lot of that now. We get a lot of PG-13 possession. We get a lot of remakes and reboots. So to finally step out of the box, to be like Barbarian, to be like Smile, to be like these other horror films that I think have done a great job of just, getting outside of the box a little bit. And creating a really original concept. So kudos to the directors. They did a great job making this movie. The writers, just everybody involved did a great job. The cast and crew, the actors, the effects are very well done. There's some really solid practical effects with a little bit of CGI enhancements that aren't noticeable. They aren't bad. So really intense scenes. It's, like I said, what a horror film should be. And I gave this one a 5 out of 5. Yes, a 5 out of 5 for Talk to Me. One of the better horror films nowadays. One of the better horror films that are newer. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really, really good. But anyways, that's going to be it for this review on Talk to Me. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. And we'll see you guys later. The Explorer of Horror is out. Peace!